So whoever's on the list still is still here. I have Charlotte M, but I don't think she's still here. So next up is Leo. And we can just say things in the chat or use reactions.
Okay.
Okay, so mine isn't necessarily finished, but my words were mythology, dragon, guinea pig, cat, turtle, and I can't remember the last one. Okay, it's called a dragon of sorts. Since the dawn of time, dragons have been known as creatures of destruction and chaos. However, there have been dragons that fought for good. The most well-known one is the shape-shifting dragon, but she wasn't always a dragon that was good. She was born like all of her kind, fierce and destructive. Dragons were different from the stereotypical version. They had wings, but on their legs instead of their backs, pale green scales, and they breathed ice instead of fire. Some had fur, and some were known as Alzuma Macorsa, which meant shapeshifter dragon in the old language. They could do exactly what their name said. They could shapeshift. The dragon that we are focusing on was named Scartorian. She was an Alzuma Macorsa. Like all of them, she had 3 preferred forms: a dragon, a cat, and a turtle, which moved ever so slowly. Oh yeah, my last word, slowly. The story starts in Scartorian's cave, where she was destroying one of the stalagmites. She had been told, once again, to get out of the trading market. The dragon's cave was inside a mountain. The sun's light turned the cave blood red. Scartorian's bed had sheets of moss and a pillow that was the fleece of a sheep. Her life was luxurious, and she was miserable. She was not allowed at the trading market. Actually, no dragon children were allowed at the trading market, and she had no more than 11 years. As she got angrier, she shifted into a cat. The cat hissed and walked out of the cave. The dragon/cat figured that if she could sneak into the trading market, she could see what they were hiding from her. She never considered that the alpha would notice her. Scartorian found the trading market with ease. Navigating through it, though, that was a whole nother matter. The alpha was the ruler of the dragon world. You could even say that he created it. He oversaw all trades and battles, and that's where I stopped.
Great. Well, thank you. I mean, certainly
Thank you so much.
a fabulous start.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Siri.
So my words were dog, cat, scared, and ran. James was lost. He used to live in an apartment in Harlem, New York, but one day while he was playing fetch in the backyard, he saw a cat. It looked at him quizzically, but James was terrified. The cat's shadow seemed to loom over them. So being the nervous dog he ran for it. His owner tried to stop him, but failed. James raced into the street, avoiding cars, not realizing that he was running far away from his home. And that was only the beginning. James had been lost for almost a week now, wandering around New York and looking for his owner. But eventually, reality sunk in. He was really lost, so he kept on going despite his fear, sadness, and longing. Now he was far away from Harlem, and maybe even far away from New York City itself. He kept walking along a dirt road until he nearly flattened a cat, the same cat that had scared him in the first place. "Oh, it's you," the cat said. "Why did you get so scared of me anyway? I was just looking around," she asked. The truth was, James didn't know why he had been so scared of the cat. It was nighttime now, and he was tired and hungry, so he decided to maybe stay with the cat for a while because she must have somewhere that she lived. Can I stay with you?" he asked. "I guess if you don't get scared of me and my friends, we can maybe even help you get home," the cat stated seriously. That made James happy, so he agreed. But when they reached an old abandoned house filled with cats, James found himself starting to get scared again. But he suppressed his feelings and walked into the house. The cats were actually not that bad. They were really nice. James found himself thinking that next time he shouldn't judge someone by their appearances. The next morning, the cats led James back to his house, and James made a vow never to let fear control his judgment again. And I have to leave.
Good. Great start. Great. Very nice.
Thanks, Siri. Next up is
Aye.
Lena.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So the words I got were dragon, destroy, suddenly, quietly, quizzically, and ravenous. So I could definitely put something about a dragon together, but I tried something a little different, so I hope you like it. It's kind of a quick cross between poetry and prose. I remember standing at the very top of the jungle gym while two chestnut braids swayed down by my hips, and bangs in need of a trimming fell down over my eyes, and little dollhouse people bustled about below. I remember quietly, quizzically surveying my domain as a ravenous confusion gnawed away at a corner of my consciousness. Why did those surrounding me take such pleasure in filling meaningless shapes with garish colored crayon colors and standing at the front of the line? I remember opening the pink lunchbox my mother had lovingly filled that morning and taking out a bunch of grapes, pretending I was a hungry dragon going grape picking. Do dragons like grapes? I giggled at the thought of a bloodthirsty beast eating a fruit salad. I remember suddenly pointing to a thick novel, collecting dust on an overhead shelf, pulling it down, and hoisting the cover open. Harry Potter, I read, and the Sorcerer's Stone. Maybe when you're older, my mother reassured me, tentatively placing it back up on the shelf. But later that night, inevitably destroying my 5-year-old innocence, hauling the book to my bedroom, letting myself slip beneath the surface, into a place where words formed a perfect melody, and the story rolled off my lips, sweet as spun sugar. I remember picking up that despised crayon box, pulling out a shade of sparkling blue, and making the words, "Once upon a time."
Super nice, Lena. Super nice. I know I'm not allowed to talk, so I'm only going to say, to point out to everyone her use of alliteration with the quietly quizzical was really beautiful, or quietly quizzically. Just was it quietly quizzically?
Quietly, quizzically, yes.
I mean, it's such a great idea to have. I mean, both the alliteration at the beginning, and then to both have the endings ending ly, because it could be quietly quizzical, but to say quizzically brings in two repeated sounds, and that's a really really nice touch. And I am forced not to say anything more because of the time. Well done, Lena.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job, Lena. Now it is Lindsay's turn.
I was wondering if you could maybe give me some feedback. I could stay late after the meeting officially ends.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks. So my words were wolf, cat, global warming, fancy watermelon, and depressed. Yeah. A small orange shape padded through the forest, barely making a sound. He entered a clearing, skirting the edge of a cliff. Wind ruffled his fur. He walked to the edge and glanced down at the rapidly flowing river beneath him. The cliff under him was only 1 foot below the water. Cursed global warming, he muttered. As if responding, the water shifted and the wind carried faint cries towards the tom. A flash of gray fur caught his eye, and before he knew it, he had jumped into the water. He fought and kicked his paws every which way, hoping to touch something. Finally, the cat felt something on his leg, and he dove down into the water, grabbing the mysterious gray creature and tugging it to the surface. The water crashed around him, but he paddled as fast as he could, fighting against the river, not believing that he would meet his watery end. The river soon got tired of fighting his resistant, straining body and spat him out onto the riverbank along with the mysterious creature. He lay there gasping for air, and finally he looked at the creature. It was a great animal with pointed ears, sharp teeth, long claws, and a bushy gray tail. The creature looked too. The cat and the wolf stared at each other. Then the cat eeked. "You're a wolf!" The wolf replied, "You're a cat!" They both stared at each other and then ran in opposite directions, screaming, "Help!" They both ran squarely into two watermelons. One was crying and wailing. The other was scowling at the crying watermelon. She had on a tiara, was wearing 2 diamond necklaces, and a pair of high heels. The watermelons froze. The cat froze. The wolf froze. And all fainted dead away. I wasn't really sure that would be the ending, but yeah.
Well, I think it's nice. So I can just say something really, really fast. Um, um, I'm just going to call out, I think, some stylistic issues that are fabulous, which is this use of the short sentences right there. The cat froze, the wolf froze, the watermelon froze. So I think, I don't know if I've heard anybody else do that, but you have, I mean, I do this myself. I think it's a really good way to call attention to ideas. So you're just going along in this nice flowing standard way, and then suddenly you've just got these three-word sentences. The cat froze, the wolf froze, the watermelon froze. That's really strong. That's very strong writing.
And especially in contrast to the river that's just been flowing along, and
yeah, I think that's a very good point.
sentences.
A very good point that Jane makes, that the river, of course, has no stops. So I think that was really nice. We can talk a little bit more afterwards, but it's really, well done and sort of well sculpted in terms of being literary, in terms of using language.
All right, next up is Elise.
So my words are weeping, scamper, dedicated, uninhabited, musty, moldy, and abruptly. So inside a pitch black cave of 23 tails, a poor little dog Astro was weeping until his little brown almond eyes were red and puffy with flowing tears falling faster than a heartbeat. He had always wanted to know what was wrong with him. Ever since he was born, whenever he went to or traveled to, creatures and humans would scamper away from him. This little cute, nice monster dedicated his life to know who he really is and why he is causing people to scuttle away from his confused expression. Then, after they scurry away with their eyes wide and shrieking, the poor puppy would sprint away crying to his dark, uninhabited cave, which was musty and moldy. After months and months of mourning, he woke up to rumbling and wet, sticky mud and stalagmites poking his tummy as they were shooken off the ceiling. He barked and whimpered as he just made it out of the 23 Tails cave to see his cozy and memorable hiding place, Clops. Sadly, he wailed that he no longer had anywhere to hide. When Astro was lumbering out in search for a new hiding place, a glow shot from the sky and several clouds parted. A firm but kind voice spoke to Astro. Astro, he said, all you need is a dashing smile as in a joyful attitude. That's it? Astro exclaimed with surprise. Yes, my boy. Every time you're sad, you build your wall of stones. That prevents critters and humans from seeing your true self and see the real pure kindness inside of you. And from that day on, Astro was nicknamed Astro the Positive.
Nice, very, very nice, Elise. So I'll just say just one minute, because I want to call attention to two things that you did. We just mentioned the alliteration and the amazing also ending from Lena's story, but you also really nicely have here the scuttle away and then scurry, scuttle and scurry. They're separated by a word, but very, very nice. I really like that. It gives some nice rhythm and poetry inside the piece of prose. And then I also just want to mention one more thing, which was the use of your word lumbering, that he lumbers out. It's a evocative word. It just gives you a whole sense of movement and a way of movement that is fabulous. So I'd say, really nicely done, and those things are especially special. Thank you.
And I like the stalagmites poking in his tummy as well. They're
Yeah.
really fun.
All right, next up is Kaden.
Okay. I'm just pulling it up. Mine's called is called Of Skulls and of Queens. The skull dragon. Oh, sorry, I won't say my words right. My words were Anne, skull, cat, dragon, fall, and fantasy. The skull dragon had never expected to be separated from his magic, but it had happened anyway. The skull dragon and almost all fantasy creatures were against the cat queen. It seemed to the inhabitants of Drastax that the cat queen had become invincible to all powers but her own. The skull dragon let out a puff of smoke. The cat queen had not taken his fire, only his magic. The skull dragon now hid from the battles outside, but he knew that the cat queen would find him, and he would be done for, never to see the rest of his hatching again. But that day won't come, the skull dragon told himself. I will not fall before the cat queen. And so there in the dark and dank cave the skull dragon sat, determined to bring an end to the cat queen's rule. The next day, before morning fall, the skull dragon left the cave, crawling through the forest of Darlak. His instincts led him forward. He knew not when or how, but he knew where he would find his fellow kin. Only an hour after departing the cave, the skull dragon sensed danger in the breeze. He looked deeper into the tail of the wind and found his suspicions were true. The warriors of the cat queen's guard were scouting the land. As long as there aren't many of them, thought the skull dragon hopefully. He heard them coming. He looked around nervously as he climbed a tree. Once he reached the top, he could hear voices below. I am free now. It's just me in the sky, he thought. The skull dragon opened his wings and soared into the air. Don't worry, fellow hatchings. I'll see you someday.
Very nice, Caden. Very nice to meet you, by the way. You were the last person allowed into this class. We had to discuss it last night. You're in only by the skin of your chinny chin chin, as they say. But we're really pleased that you're here. Thank you. I know I'm not supposed to talk very much, so it's a nice little, complete piece. I like how you've called one's the skull dragon, one's the, and then the queen has her own name. Oh yes, I like the Dalek. I want to just call out, I have to be brief, the Dalek forest or Darlak forest.
Darlak, yeah.
Darlak. That, by giving it a name, you place it in a map. We obviously can think of Lord of the Rings.
I love maps and fantasy and things like that. But I tried to convey the dragon's instincts and like the mind of a dragon in there, and so I tried to like talking to the breeze of the wind. I don't know. I thought trying to convey that a bit.
And I think you did that really well.
Thanks.
So it's one of these things where it's fantasy, but it seems realistic because I think, as Caden says, that you're thinking of inside the head of the creature, whether it's a real creature or a fictional one. So a very nice start. I look forward to hearing you read in other weeks.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least is Nova.
Nova. Okay, what did you come up with, Nova?
I had a stream of consciousness about a stream of consciousness. It's my stream of consciousness is made mostly of questions. I'll read it now. Stream of consciousness. What is a stream of consciousness? Is it a river? A river of thoughts? Is it sky blue, reflective, or pure white? Is it made of thoughts? How do we think? Why do we think? What is the meaning of consciousness? What is it? Am I thinking right now? How is thinking possible? Why did Descartes say, I think, therefore I am? Do we have to be able to think to be? Why am I having a stream of consciousness about a stream of consciousness? Do plants think? How is thinking possible? Why does the world exist? Why does the universe exist? If something created the world, how did that get created? Oh, sorry, no. How did that get created? Why is it possible to exist? Is a simulation theory right? But then, if the
Is it
simulation...
what? Is it a simulation, you said?
I said
Simulation
simulation
theory.
theory. But
Okay.
then, if the simulation theory's right, am I part of a computer or am I real? Is anyone real? What is simulation? Can anything come from nothing? But if it can't, how did anything get started? Has anything existed for forever? What happened before the Big Bang? Did the Big Bang actually happen? Why am I thinking about this? Why am I even thinking? Am I thinking in circles? What is a circle? What is the meaning of life? If anyone tells me that the meaning of life is 42 and doesn't tell me why again, I'm gonna freak out. What is freaking out? What's autism? Why do I have autism? What's ADHD? Why do I have autism and ADHD? Why? When? Where? What? Who? How? Why do I have so many questions? What's knowledge? What is anything? What? Why am I so confused? Am I getting upset? Am I okay? Who am I? What am I? When am I? Where am I? Why am I? How am I? What am I? What? I'm sighing. What's going on? What's not going on? Is there a multiverse? What are questions?
Okay, Nova, are you done?
Yes.
That's incredible. That's really great. I mean, it's fabulous. Wow. And as always, you've never met Nova before, Caden, but Nova always has very original ideas and
I like all the
original stuff.
I like all the philosophical questions in it.
Yeah, and I remember when I was in elementary school, when I was your age, Nova, I remember thinking that, well, how did the universe get started? How is this possible? And of course, you're just asking there all the questions of life that are basically not answerable. Though you could become a cosmologist and work on the origin of the universe and multiverses, you could become a mathematician and work on that. I think it's really nice. And I talked at the beginning today of today being a little bit about being creative and creativity. And I think we see in this piece that you've written, Nova, that it's not just okay, but it can be very positive to step outside what the cliche is, step outside the box. So that stream of consciousness about stream of consciousness, very, very interesting as an idea, and very well written. So hope you send that up to us at Stone Soup, Nova.
And it's a really nice thing about your style as well, Nova, because I think I was remembering at the last session last year, you did a vignette about a vignette, and it's really clever. I like that.
Yeah, and there was good pacing.
Playing with it.
I mean, this is definitely something.
Nova left the session.
Nova's left already? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well, it was nice because, it also, Anya talked about the, and then, which this could have had, but it didn't. It really had good pacing. Yeah, since Nova's not here, we can talk about her. And it was really nice. I mean, it's so exciting to have somebody that is so outside.
She's back.
Okay, Nova, we were just saying wonderful things about you, but you weren't here.
I'm sorry. Zoom kicked me out because of my connection.
Okay. So we need to go, but I'll just tell you, Nova, that really liked what you did there. A beautiful stream of consciousness, but we also I like the pacing that within this sort of linear, unstructured piece of prose, it had some nice rhythm. It didn't get boring. If you want to think of Anya's poem about and, where she talked about the young child whose story is and then, this piece could have been like that, but it wasn't. So congratulations again on something that is original. And I think I also said, you've got lots of careers ahead of you to work on. You can become a cosmologist or a mathematician to work on multiverses, cosmologist to work on the Big Bang. But this is also...
I want to be an architect.
an architect. Well, you can work out different issues in architecture. But thank you very much, Nova. Brilliant. Thank you, all of you, for coming. Apologize again for being a little disorganized today. We'll see you next week with Laura for a book group, and then I will see you the week after.